The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Go Cowboys! This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show. Your war room for insider news and draft analysis from deep within the confines of Cowboys headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
The Dallas Cowboys select Michael Parsons. Woo!
And now, your hosts, Brian Broaddus, Jeff Kavanaugh, Kyle Yeomans, and David Hellman.
It's Tuesday, March 15th, 2022. Just like we predicted all along, a whole hell of a lot has changed since the last time we did an episode of the Draft Show. I'm David Hellman. I am joined, as always, by my guys, Brian Broaddus, Jeff Kavanaugh, Kyle Yeomans. Let's just get right to it, guys. I mean, we're not really here to get into the weeds of the Dallas Cowboys necessarily, but some stuff has happened which has changed the draft. Where do you want to start? Amari Cooper is no longer scheduled to be a Dallas Cowboy. I guess that trade won't be finalized until Wednesday when the league year opens, but the widely accepted report is that he's off to Cleveland. The Cowboys gaining a fifth-round pick and swapping sixth.
Yeah.
We can start. Okay, well, that's an interesting reaction.
Good return.
We can start there, or we can mention what else. What else has happened in this whirlwind?
Randy.
Yeah, there we go.
Randy.
Literally, as we were prepping for this show 15 minutes ago, reports that Randy Gregory has agreed to a 5-year extension, probably more like a 2-year extension if I had to guess. But Randy Gregory back with the Cowboys. DeMarcus Lawrence restructuring or redoing his deal, really. It's not a restructure, and it's an entirely new contract. So you've got your edge rushers back for 2022. Malik Hooker agreed to a 2-year contract this morning. So you've got at least one of your top 3 safeties back in the fold. Jake McQuaid, can't forget the long snapper. I think that's everything major that's happened since we last spoke. Guys, where do you want to start? I think we should.
McQuaid.
No,
I think with
stop.
McQuaid.
I shouldn't have given you the option.
Oh.
We need to start with Amari Cooper. That is the one I think that most drastically impacts the draft. A, because the Cowboys have changed their draft capital. B, because they now have a pretty glaring hole on their roster where they didn't. Take the floor, somebody. What do we got? What do we think?
You know, I would just say Sky Moore.
Of course.
There we go. It's a great name.
Check that box.
Now we're able to get
odds?
started.
Can we get odds in Vegas somewhere on saying that name?
Over,
at the top
under,
of every
into the show?
Yeah.
I think that the Cowboys will use one of their first 3 picks on a wide receiver, and by the time we get there, everybody will be tired of hearing the names. Because as an unemployed guy, I'm doing some freelance stuff for D Magazine, and so I just wrote an article that'll go up where I went through rounds 1, 2, 3. Here are the targets. Here are the guys who could be Cowboys. One of these guys will be a Cowboy. So, if you let us just fire off 15 names, I can tell you who your number 3 wide receiver is going to be.
Brian, we've been talking about Amari Cooper potentially not being on this team for 8 weeks. Now that it's happened, and they did manage to pull off a trade, albeit for not wonderful compensation. Yeah. I mean, how do you feel about it? I think that's kind of the world you live in when you telegraph that you're unhappy with a player with that size contract. How do you feel about the deal?
I think overall, though, this was one of those things where we're learning, and I was talking to some guys in the league about this, that the high-ticket guys, it's more really about money. And I think the questions that people have is like, okay, this guy's not a $20 million player. That's to them, And so, people were not really interested in giving a lot for, somebody that they kind of felt like that maybe this was too much, and then the Cowboys obviously had their idea. The Cowboys, they settled on what they settled. They were interested in moving on. That's clear for there. I think that, like I say, it when you look at the draft now in relation to it, I think Jeff's right about this. And to me, it's going to be fascinating as they stack their board how high they have receivers. Do they have receivers higher than they do, say, guards, or maybe potentially even a tackle on that board? So I think you could kind of look at it as 2 ways now. It's either going to be a wide receiver or it's going to be an offensive lineman there at 24.
And if the board falls that way, I think that's certainly a possibility. At wide receiver at 24, But it's also weird because of the Gallup deal also thrown in there as well, because he's coming back and you do have CeeDee Lamb still in the fold. So do you want to spend a high draft pick? Do you want to spend a first-round pick on a wide receiver when you've already had a 17th overall pick on your roster and you could be wide receiver 3 if you go pick at 24? Would be getting paid $16.2 million a year.
That's exactly where I was going, Kyle. And so, apologies to Michael Gallup. Sort of glossed over the fact that he signed his own 5-year deal on Sunday night, 24 hours after the Cooper trade. So you have a pairing of CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup for the foreseeable future.
They might, with the way you said it though, if you feel like, because we were going into last season thinking that 3 wide receivers was the way to attack the league. And maybe it's not. Maybe it's on your quarterback too. Maybe it's on your OC. We can get into all that another day, another show. But maybe it's a situation where they say, hey, I feel like that wide receiver would be in play. But maybe they say, hey, this 3 wide receiver attack that we keep talking about is probably not the way to go.
In this day and age, though, you still, even if you don't want to run 11 personnel all the time, you need a quality third receiver, right?
No, absolutely. But you take a quality third receiver at 24. So that's the question. Me personally, because I'm interested in, and I'm, will they do it? Let's see. I would be interested to know how they stack their board with the receivers on that board, as opposed to the offensive lineman on that.
So
board.
let's just go and we know,
because a defensive end to me is out.
Oh yeah,
that's out.
With Randy and DeMarcus both here for multiple years. I don't know the terms of Randy's deal yet, but I would imagine
$28 million guaranteed, 5 for 70. So it's probably in real life $2-year, $28 million deal.
You've probably got a 2-year out on Randy. They definitely have a 2-year out on DeMarcus. His guarantees are done after the first 2 years of his new deal. So, but those guys are in place for 2 seasons. So I don't know how you justify a first-round pick on an edge rusher right now. But going back to that, I'm just curious what you think. And again, this has all happened in the 5 days since we've done a show. Plenty more is going to change. They're going to add some more guys. They'll bring some more guys back. They're going to lose a couple guys.
If they sign Curse, that takes them out of safety. So I'm starting to eliminate positions is what I'm doing.
I think you're absolutely right. I think interior offensive line, or maybe offensive line as a whole, and receiver are the 2 big trouble spots that I really
They might think defensive tackle, too, would be a problem as well.
I think you're right on that one.
Linebacker? In the first round?
Linebacker could be it very well.
I think they're looking at high-end defensive tackles.
So where do you go? I'm trying to ask the question. I appreciate y'all not letting me get there. Where do you go?
I think wide receiver in the first round would be a stretch for me, but it's not out of the question, is ultimately what it is. If you have one of these guys, let's say Burks out of Arkansas is your guy. He's your dude, and he's there at 24. Don't hesitate, make the pick because you like him that much. Don't force a wide receiver at 24 when you can upgrade so many of these other positions. But in the second and the third round, if you want to go get a wide receiver at 56, if you want to turn around and go at 88, I'm fine with that. I think that's where the value might lie in this, because you're not necessarily in search for a number 1 wide receiver. You're in search for a guy to be a back-end developmental prospect underneath Michael Gallup and CeeDee Lamb.
Let me ask you a question then about this. Mm-hmm. How many wide receivers do you have in the first round? I'm talking about you.
4.
Yeah. Who's your last one?
Let's see. Probably Olave.
Okay.
Maybe
would you have Olave over? Now, we're talking about a team the last couple of years that's taken the best player on their board.
Sure.
Do you have Olave over any of those guards?
No. Not Linderbaum nor Green.
Okay.
I would rather take either one of those guys.
What about Zion Johnson?
I would take Zion over Olave.
Okay. So that's might be what they're getting into now.
Yeah.
That they would rather have that. They would rather have the center or the guard. To me personally.
Yeah, you personally.
Me personally, though, the only one that I would take over one of those wide receivers, offensive line wide, would be Linderbaum. That would be the only one I would take.
So out of all 4 of those guys?
Yep.
Wow. All right, so let's lay them out. Traylon Burks, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. Who am I forgetting as the 4th?
Jameson Williams.
Jameson Williams.
You
Okay.
didn't say
Drake
Burks
London.
either.
I did say Burks.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
But, so those 4, you're taking all 4 of those over everybody but Tyler Linderbaum.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Jeffrey?
I don't have a first round. I don't have a first round guard.
Right.
I don't. But I mean, when you're picking at 24, it's not really a first round player anyway.
Right.
So that's a good point.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't cute it up. I would take the best player. I don't think there's anything that's off limits to them. I think if their best player available plays defensive end, that's a valuable enough position. There's plenty of snaps available.
I mean,
would pick him.
Of course, you're not wrong. And with the money that just went to Randy Gregory, it's hard to imagine Dorrance Armstrong finding. I mean, we'll see. I don't want to speak too soon, but you can imagine you maybe lose your third defensive end there.
Well, that's what Golston's for.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what you drafted Golston for.
But
It's time for him to step up.
If a guy falls to 24 that you would be stupid to ignore, you draft him. Even if he plays defensive end, you still draft him. Whatever. You can kick tank inside on
who would that take,
nickel downs.
I mean, it would take like
George
a Karlaftis
Karlaftis
falling, right?
David Ojabo.
At 24.
How's that make you feel,
Yeah.
Brian?
You know what? If Karlaftis is there, I'm okay with that. Karlaftis, Lindenbaum, those kind of guys, the wide receivers. Dax Hill is another guy that I would take at safety.
I still really like him.
Depending on what happens with with Curse. It sounds like in all indications that Curse could be a guy in play here that they can get done.
I do think they're making a push on Jaron Curse.
If I were going to ignore my real answer just to try to answer the question that I think you want answered.
Yes, I want you to
because
be
my real
interesting.
answer.
We all know they're going to
is
take the best player.
the best player.
Yeah, that's very cute
But if you
and not exciting.
Yes, if you want to start just nixing positions because of what they've already done.
No, you don't even.
I want to know where Nakobe Dean gets picked because Nakobe Dean I think is really interesting, and in mock drafts you're starting to see him in the late 20s. And linebacker is still a need for this team.
Are we overlooking the need at linebacker?
I don't know
Because-
why.
No, I don't think we
shouldn't.
have. I think there's something like you said. To me, it's the thing that when you look at these linebackers, there's going to be faults. Now, there's going to be a lack of height. There might be a lack of speed. The film doesn't show that on Lloyd, but there's people are going to say deficiencies there. They're going to say it about Lindenbaum too. Dallas is going to take a player that's probably got some flaws to him, and that's where I think that's okay. But you just got to, you got to know that these players do have some flaws.
I'll take the flip side of that and apologize to Nakobe Dean because just as a player,
He's just short.
no, I know, but and
That's the only issue.
He's one of my favorite
He
players.
shouldn't have done that.
He shouldn't have been short. Hey, trust
Yeah.
me, I identify
No, but
with
that's-
that a
Shouldn't
lot.
have done it either.
I know.
No, but
Thanks, Mom.
that's the thing. That's the thing about it is like that. Will the Cowboys will they look at that? Will they look at Lloyd and say, the 4.6 is 4.61, whatever it was? Will they look at that and say, but you watch the tape and it doesn't show that?
But here's what I was going to say is I just feel like you have the centerpiece, right? You got the Bamf. His name is Micah Parsons. And now we know he doesn't need to move to edge right now. If he was ever going to, I don't think he was. Mm-hmm. He's definitely not going to do it now with Randy and DeMarcus back under contract. So you got him. Jabril Cox is still here.
Yep.
Fortunately for him, it always sounds weird to say an injury is good, but if you're going to tear your ACL, at least do it in week 5 or week 6, whatever it was, instead of week 15 or 16 like Michael Gallup.
It was very selfish of Gallup to tear his
Yeah,
ACL towards the end of the year.
What a selfish player.
If the Cowboys have their druthers, I think the answer is clearly they're
Who
picking.
taught you that word?
I don't know.
Good word.
If you're picking the guy who it's like, man, I'm really glad he's on the very top of our board while we're picking here, it's one of the guards. Like that's the glaring weakness is if they lined up today, Connor McGovern is probably your left guard, and they don't want him on the field.
Yeah.
You feel, and I think we agree, we don't feel crazy different about the receiver situation. We all agree that it'll be a top 100 pick most likely, but it doesn't need to be pick 24 when you have Michael Gallup and CeeDee Lamb under
But
contract.
pick 24 would be a lot of fun.
It would be fun.
yeah.
It just like CeeDee Lamb was fun when you had Michael Gallup.
It's just like
and
all these
Amari
other positions. Like you're going to talk about should you take this position at 24 in the first round? Oh my God, you have all of this. But a year or two down the road, you have no idea what you're going to have. You have no idea if CeeDee Lamb is going to get a second contract with this team.
Yep.
You have no idea if you're going to keep Michael Gallup more than the 2 years that he has guaranteed money. Wide receivers should not be off limits in the first round because you don't know what the world is going to have going on for your team in 24 months.
That's a great point because look at 2 years ago, 2020, if you would have drafted Caleb Chase on instead of CeeDee Lamb, where would you be in the wide receiver room right now? You probably would have kept Cooper or found a way to
Gallup
keep Cooper.
would be hanging out with Simi.
It would be interesting.
Gallup and Simi.
It would be very interesting.
What do you guys feel better about, second round linebackers or second round guards?
Probably linebackers.
I think I'm at linebackers.
See,
too.
that kind of my point is I just, with all due respect to guys that play linebacker and having a really good one makes a difference, as we saw with Micah, You can find those guys. Not to be the centerpiece of your linebacker core, but you already have that guy.
Historically, he's right.
No, he is.
A lot of really good linebackers come from rounds 2 through 4.
Agreed.
A lot of them.
But I think Brian's kind of poking at this a little bit too. There's guards there too. I mean, there's Ed Ingram from LSU that should possibly be there. Cade Mays, who I know Dallas has talked to. Jeremy Slayer out of Georgia. There's good, solid guards that are going to be in there.
I kind of feel like the position of the guard might be a little bit deeper than what the linebacker is. So if that's the case, if you go linebacker at 24 and you turn around and you say, okay, this thing might stretch a little bit for some of these guards if you want to go for the inside help there.
Mm-hmm. Who's your LB3 behind Lloyd and Dean?
Clark and Harris. You talking about linebackers? Yeah. Clark from LSU and Harris.
And Christian Harris.
Yeah.
And Quay Walker out of
Georgia. I like Christian Harris too.
Quay Walker, Christian Harris, Chad Muma, Leo Chenal. All second-round guys for me.
Yeah, I think I can afford to wait on that. You need one. You're probably going to need one. Although I won't be surprised. We'll see what the market holds for Leighton Vander Esch. If he can't get a great deal somewhere else, I think it's realistic that he could be back here on a, that type of deal.
The 1-year deal thing.
A 1 or 2 year deal that's worth less than $10 million. That type of deal. I think that's totally possible.
What is his market value? I know we don't want to get into the weeds.
$5 million a year.
That's kind of what I was thinking too.
If Malik Hooker's 4, Vander Esch might be 5 or 6.
I bet he's gunning. I bet he wants like 6 to 8, and then the reality is
I think there's teams that have failed him on the physical that would never bring him in.
It's possible.
So that's why I think his market probably wouldn't be that great.
When you've had neck/spinal column,
people realize that.
That's not great.
You look at. He had a couple of really good games last year for the team where he had double-digit tackles. They just lost both games he played in. I think the Denver game he had 13 tackles or something. So he showed he's capable of playing. He didn't completely fall off the map.
No, he was like a at replacement level linebacker, right? That's the way I viewed the season that he had last year.
The injuries have robbed him of movement, in my opinion. When you watch him move, he doesn't move as good as he once did.
But would I sign him on a 1-year deal to prevent myself from having to reach in the draft? Sure. Or somebody like him. That's what Keanu Neal was last year. So I think you kind of get premature because this will all be different by tonight if I had to guess with the way that this is going. But I do, I think it's interesting because I think y'all are absolutely right. If you're trying to draw yourself a roadmap, it sure looks like it's pointing toward guards and receivers to me.
Guard.
They need a guard. Which comes full circle from my first draft, which was the Jonathan Cooper, Chance Warmack draft.
Man, I loved me some Chance Warmack.
Neither guy really wound up.
I love me some Chance Warmack.
Amazing.
Mauler.
Yeah.
Jonathan Cooper, incredible athlete. I'm sure they both had great careers.
All right, so we've reset the table. We're going to take an early break. We got plenty of questions from y'all. Some of it about free agency stuff, some of it draft weeds. We'll get into all of it right after the break.
At Smoothie King, we are blending goodness to fuel your greatness. Every blend is crafted to help you achieve your health and fitness goals. Smoothie King uses only whole fruits and organic veggies. You'll never find sugary syrups or artificial flavors, colors, or preservatives. And unlike some other smoothie places, there are 0 grams of added sugar in many of our blends. Smoothie King is proud to be the official smoothie of the Dallas Cowboys. Place your order in the app or online for pickup or delivery. Smoothie King, rule the day.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, singing, and toasting Miller Lite in 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Football season is almost over, and that means tax season is here. With it comes taxiety. Filing taxes can be stressful if you choose the wrong partner. Don't let taxiety take over this tax season. Liberty Tax will help you get your largest possible refund or your money back. With more than 12,000 tax professionals nationwide, help is always around the corner. Check out Liberty Tax, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Schedule an appointment today at libertytax.com/Cowboys. Liberty Tax, a brighter way to do taxes.
Hey, Cowboys Cowboys fans, if you're thinking about attending a game this season, visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today. Stay at the team hotel, have dinner with a Cowboys legend, and experience AT&T Stadium's exclusive VIP Owners Club. Also, tour the Star, get autographs from your favorite players, and talk X's and O's with me, Mickey Spagnola. The official travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys will take care of all your travel needs. Visit cowboystravel.com.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
Welcome back to the Draft Show, presented by Miller Lite, also presented by Liberty Tax. It's a proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Schedule an appointment today, libertytax.com/Cowboys. The further we get into draft season, the more that read starts to give me anxiety about my as-of-yet undone taxes. So
I scheduled an appointment last night.
Don't be like me. Hopefully with Liberty Tax.
It was with Liberty Tax.
Well, wonderful, yeah. Kyle. Way to go.
I got to track down my
Jeff,
thingy.
Jeff, go to libertytax.com/Cowboys. What, your 1099?
Yeah, that one from the company that I don't work for.
My thingy.
Well, I can't get into my HR portal because I don't work there, and I didn't get one in the mail.
Oh yeah, that's an issue.
So it's a struggle.
You went
bus.
paperless?
I don't know.
Jeff is every time I try to talk to Jeff about adult things, he's like, I don't know, it's just kind of on auto pay. I
reminded him about getting his knee fixed and shoulder fixed, anything else he need to get fixed before he decided to go away.
Oh yeah, I forgot to do that. So if I need surgery, it's going to cost a lot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, Jeff, before
check
you
out my YouTube page, please.
I think the reason I get along so well with Jeff is that we just kind of get by on vibes. We're just like, the IRS isn't like beating down my door. I think I'm okay.
Not yet.
It'll be fine.
They know where you work.
It'll work.
You have to the 18th this year, guys.
Oh, good to know.
Deadline's not tomorrow.
We've got 3 more days than usual.
Fine.
All right, it's the second segment. You know what that means.
Twitter on the 20.
Absolutely right. A lot of receiver questions today. I can't say I'm surprised about that. Which we kind of did this, but I want to get a little bit more thorough with a question from Rob. He wants to know, how far down your list of receivers can you go before you're out of potential day one starters? I think it's a good question because that was the situation they were in with Michael Gallup. They drafted him at 81. He was a day one starter. Wasn't, great as a rookie, but a guy that they were able to get production out of right away. So we're looking at that again. Cowboys pick 24th, 56th, and 88th. Can you find a day one starter? Like how far back can you go? Maybe you can get to the 4th.
I mean, I've seen 14 wide receivers, and I think they're all day one starters.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you can find one.
All of them?
Yeah, like for instance, this is just going to be rapid fire because you guys know the names at the top already, right? Wilson, Burks, Williams, London, Moore, Olave, Pickens, Mechie, Dotson, Tolbert. And when I get down to my third round, and there's a bunch of people I haven't seen yet, Calvin Austin III from Memphis, a little slot guy. Yeah, he's a starter. Khalil Shakir at Boise State. Yeah, I think he could start for somebody in the slot as a rookie. Alec Pierce at Cincinnati. Yeah, I think that's probably an NFL starter as a rookie. And Wan'Dale Robinson, the other tiny, fast guy from Kentucky.
He's a fun player to watch.
Probably could start for somebody in the slot as a rookie, and I'm not done watching, guys. There's a lot.
Yeah. Robinson I have in the 4th round. That's my first 4th round guy, and I kind of agree with Jeff of the names that he said. I think wide receiver used to be one where you worried about the learning curve, and I don't worry about the learning curve. I think 7-on-7 football has helped a lot of these kids in high school. I think their offenses in college throw the football a ton. They don't maybe they're not the most polished route runners, but you can throw on that Ohio State tape. You take any one of those kids. You throw on the Alabama tape. You take any one of those kids. You throw on some tape from a kid from Western Michigan. You take that kid. I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now. Because these guys go out there and they catch the football. They know how to run routes. They know how to get open, and they're not scared. And I think that's what we've seen in pro football really the last 2 or 3 years.
And they're used in so many different ways, too. And that same sort of usage goes from the collegiate game into the professional game now. And it used to not be that much of a crossover. Now there's so many things that mirror each other, like where a Wan'Dale Robinson could be selected outside of the top 100, yet he's still going to be the 3rd wide receiver starting in 11 personnel for whatever team ends up picking him up along the way because he's used in a certain way. Same thing with guys like Christian Watson. I know we didn't say his name out of North Dakota State He's down the list from guys like Pickens and Dotson and Mechie, Tolbert, but he's a guy who I think
in the
could
mix.
absolutely make an impact, and he's probably the 11th receiver, 10th receiver off the board.
I'm glad you brought him up. I'll ask this question from T-Chance, but then I think it opens up to a broader question. He specifically wants to know who you think is a better fit between Alec Pierce, guy that y'all like a lot out of Cincinnati, and Christian Watson.
Like a little bit out of Cincinnati.
Brian likes him a lot.
I do like him a lot. I have him over Watson myself. When you watch, like I said, when I was evaluating the quarterback there at Cincinnati, he was throwing the ball to one guy really, and that one guy was making like every single play. And so, yeah, I don't know how you could, not like a receiver. He tested very well at the combine if you're into those kinds of things. And he also, the thing about him that's really, really interesting is he's a tall guy. I mean, it's a 6'3", 211-pound guy. And the catch radius is huge. He goes all over the place to get the ball. He's really good in the red zone. I mean, his learning curve, I think, is very little because I think he could do all the things already, and he's not size deficient, so you can play him wherever you need to play him.
I'm the same way. I have Watson underneath Pierce because of those reasons. I like the size, I like the speed, the athleticism. I'm not going to say he's Cooper Kupp. That's a dumb comparison. A lot of people have kind of thrown it out there in terms of style of play. He's not to that level yet, but I still like the way that he could kind of mix some of those things into his pro game. I don't want to repeat a lot of what Brian said, but I'm right there with him.
Well, I'll throw it out to you in a broader sense because, again, he asked about two specific guys, but on a team that now has – you assume CeeDee Lamb is now the number one receiver on this team.
Yeah.
Michael Gallup.
Our boy PT says Michael Gallup's going to be the number one.
He could be. Shout out Philip Tanner. I trust the hell out of what he has to say. Coached here for a little while. Oh well, and I think the Cowboys want more from Michael Gallup. But knowing
highest paid receiver on the team,
knowing their skill sets.
Well, they need to get some from CeeDee Lamb though too.
They need
Let's
more
be honest
from
about
that. It's got to be a 1A, 1B.
That was one of those things that that I know that he was my number one wide receiver on that board, and the fact when he was taken, I was super excited. Is it his fault completely? No. But there needs to be.
It sounds harsh to say about a guy.
Maybe
that just
overrated
went to a
him.
Pro Bowl.
I mean, like say 1,000 yards potentially his first season, 1,100 last season.
It doesn't.
But
help
you kind of feel like you need more there.
It doesn't help that a guy drafted 5 spots behind him is setting the league on fire.
Yeah.
Anyway, but knowing what you know about these two, is there a third receiver? And I think y'all have talked about Pickens before when we've kind of danced around this subject, but is there a third receiver that you think complements those two exceptionally well?
Are you ready for your question to be answered with a question?
That's kind of what y'all do.
Are you prepared for that?
Yeah.
Do you like CeeDee Lamb outside or do you like CeeDee Lamb in the slot?
I prefer him in the slot.
Then you need a guy who can play anywhere. If you want CeeDee in the slot, in the first round, I think names to know would be Drake London, Treylon Burks, Garrett Wilson. I think I would like Jamison Williams in the slot, but he could go either.
If they draft Jamison Williams, I'm fine with whatever, by the way.
You could just mix and match those two guys.
Ideally, I would like to think CeeDee Lamb can do both.
I want my best receiver in the slot no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want. I don't, because it's like we say the word slot, and I think people picture Cole Beasley.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, well, Treylon Burks plays the slot. He's 6'2", 225. A.J. Green, when he was still really, really good, was playing the slot. Julio Jones started playing the slot.
Yep.
Your best guy plays the slot, not your tiny guy.
Slot used to mean smaller guy who gets by with quickness.
Yeah, but teams have also figured out they play their best corner in the slot, though, too.
Sure.
That's something that...
Not a lot of them.
You combat that. No, a lot of them do walk in there and play. If you're going to put your best player in the slot,
Ramsey will go in there, but most
sure he will.
Most outside corners play outside.
Yeah, there's some of your
good half.
You watch enough games, they'll play you'll see some of the best players inside. That's the way they walk them in.
You're
there.
right. I don't watch very many games.
He's calling you out.
I don't watch much.
No, I'm just saying if you really watch. I'm just saying if you really watch the games, they really do.
I can look up snap counts for corners, and I promise you, the vast majority of what you consider a great corner,
it's going to be
they're
outside.
out there.
No,
Sure.
there's a lot of guys that don't want to go in there, but you do. Teams have figured out that the best receivers are in the slot.
Do you think I'm crazy for wanting CD in the slot?
No,
No,
not at all.
No,
I don't know.
Because
If,
he's your best one.
Okay, just making sure.
But I also would point out that I think CD is really, really good outside. Too. Like, he can do whatever, and that's why I think you're wide open. I think you're wide open at what receiver you pick.
I like the idea of Jamison Williams and CeeDee Lamb kind of being interchangeable. Both guys can play outside. Both guys can play inside. You never know where they're going to line up. And then you've got Michael Gallup as your deep threat on the opposite side. That sounds like a ton of fun.
I will readily admit, I think there are more important things they could do with that pick than draft a receiver.
But it would be fun.
Oh, my God. I would do a backflip if they drafted Jamison Williams. It would be amazing. Anthony wants to know, what would you give up, if anything, for Laviska Shenault, who appears to be on the trading block?
Was there some questions about his medical coming out?
Yes,
I think that's something that people need to.
The crux of his draft.
Yeah, I think that's
profile.
a lot of it has to do with that. So yeah, I think I would worry. I think that these teams, this medical stuff, that carries. A lot of these guys like, well, okay, I see him playing, but is that something that's going to be a problem in the future? You know,
this is kind of one of those deals which I'm looking at. I believe Shenault fell to the second round, did he not? Yeah, he was pick 42 in 2020. So again, and that matters because you don't get the fifth-year option. So he's halfway through his rookie deal, and I just like what is a guy who's been okay, not amazing, who's only got 2 years left on his deal, like what is he worth? What is that worth to you? Like I wouldn't give up
fifth-round pick.
I wouldn't give up anything better than a day 3 pick for
that. No, that's what you've kind of seen what's going on with Amari Cooper and stuff like that.
Sure.
I mean, that's what people are doing right now. And they're even doing it sometimes with these quarterbacks. You know? I mean, the top ones of course are going to get the first-round picks, but again, I just believe that people are kind of like, listen, if you want to move on from this guy, I mean, they're looking at the draft just like we are.
It's a weird thing to say because Christian Kirk just got paid an ungodly amount of money. I mean, receivers are making money. But at the same time, again, going back to the first segment, this trend and what we talked to Will about at the Combine, you can count on 6 of these guys being studs every year. And so why are you giving up a ton of assets when you know that the next draft class is right around the corner,
it's gonna be there
with another 1,000-yard receiver ready to play right away? I just think that kind of hurts the value of established players unless you are really at the top of your profession.
Hey, Dallas has 3 fifth-round picks now. Maybe you could trade one of them and try and go get somebody. Maybe not a Shenault, but maybe you go.
Maybe this is where you go get your punter, your kicker.
I think so too. I think you maybe take either one of those guys.
I'm taking that extra 5th from the Brownies, and I'm using it on whichever kicker they prefer.
Cade York.
That's fine.
Out of LSU.
At the risk of sounding like a homer, if they want to draft Cameron Dicker from Texas. Instead, Dicker the kicker, that sounds fun to me. I don't care. One of them. I told y'all there would be a lot of receiver questions. Cowboys 71 wants y'all to break down Treylon Burks versus Chris Olave. Just their games. They're very different players.
Couldn't be more different.
They're very different players. So, just break down what they do well, what they don't do well, yada, 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 just sort of what you would get from either decision.
They do the exact opposites well. Treylon Burks is 6'2", 225, and you're going to feel every bit of that when you play against him because they're going to throw him screens, they're going to put the ball up in the air. Treylon Burks is physically imposing, hell after the catch, plays above the rim down the field. He's a big, tough, physical wide receiver. Chris Olave is a small, kind of slight, incredible route runner and technician, and fast. I'm going to take that from him. He scored 13 touchdowns and 65 catches. That's pretty darn good. But they're polar opposites. Treylon Burks, you want the ball in his hands now or up there. And Chris Olave, you want him to go run a route on that dude, and he's going to give you separation.
No, Jeff's nailed him. I mean, he's absolutely got both players right. I mean, the thing about Olave to me is that you talk about the technician and things like that. I mean, I don't know. Okay, let's look at it this way. Which receiver is best for Dak Prescott? If you had to watch a game and you're saying throw it up guy to bad catch guy, bad ball guy. See, I'm trying to figure out now. My new mission is if it's not
separators.
Well, yeah, if it's not good for Dak, don't tell me about it. I don't care if to me if it's about blockers, if it's about a runner, if it's about a tight end, if it's about a receiver. Because again, I know we're a show that's all about the draft. But if you want to focus on the Cowboys, which one of these guys better helps Dak? And to me, maybe it's a bigger body guy, but also look at Olave and make plays in tight spaces, poorly thrown balls.
I think the answer is Olave.
Yeah,
It goes against my instinct.
Burks is a damn good player.
I'm not saying he's not.
It goes against how I have them ranked is the problem.
Hey, trust your board.
Kind of there too.
The reason I was so insistent that I thought moving on from Amari was a bad idea. I think his skill set works very well with Dak. He presents like a clean target. He creates separation. He gets open.
He wasn't as open as he was last year, I don't believe. I think there was some limitations with his health that allowed him not to play fast. Amari didn't play as fast as he normally plays. And I think that, to me, if I'm looking at all these wide receivers, I'm just thinking, which one of these guys can go out there and get the football, get open, and at least give Dak Prescott? Because we've learned about Dak, if it's not completely open, that ball might not be going your direction.
Right.
So whoever one of these guys, I don't care, start at Jeff's number 1 and go all the way to 14 and determine who that guy is.
Garrett Wilson's one of them.
Yeah, there you go.
But we agree.
Sky Moore, Chris Olave.
Yep.
John Mechie.
There you go.
Jalen Tolbert.
All right.
And maybe Jamison Williams.
Yeah, I would throw him into that category.
Separates, but he's not a technician.
He wins at the line of scrimmage, but he doesn't necessarily have that route running capability. Olave is one of those crisp, clean route runners that's going to separate immediately. If you throw him on a slant, he's open. You throw him in the backfield, if you want to kind of toss it to him behind, he's open. He's going to run after the catch as well.
So if you want to narrow it down even further, and you were to say, okay, I think the Cowboys would love to pick an offensive lineman in the first round. Second round, I believe you narrow that down to Sky Moore, John Mechie, Jalen Tolbert. You want one of those names available. Mechie at Alabama, Tolbert at South Alabama, and Sky Moore at Western Michigan.
What about Dotson?
I was going to ask you about Dotson. Does he do anything for you?
We gloss over Jahan Dotson a lot.
But he's a slight
That's
guy.
of where I have him ranked. That's why I gloss over him.
5'11" guy? Is that why? Did
Yes.
you say 5'11" and slight?
And he's 4'4", and like he's explosive. Jahan Dotson's a good player, but I think I see him ranked for so many people like in the 20s or something like that. And I'm more like, if he was at 56, we could talk about it.
That's what we're talking about. It's 56. I'm up there. I'm right there with you. He's not in those top 6 receivers that we keep throwing around. But I like the way he runs routes. I like the way he gets guys off balance.
I get mad at receivers who can't get off the line.
Yeah.
And when people lined up on the line of scrimmage, they were screwing him up. And when he would get contacted en route, they were screwing him up. And
he's not physical. I have that in my cons category.
That bothers me with receivers. We got to be tough through the route, and we got to get off the line.
Honestly, in my opinion, when you look at these names, the best player probably for Dak would be Drake London.
Ooh, just throw it up
Just to go
him.
get it, guy?
Well,
That's a contested catch guy, though.
But that's what I'm saying, though. But to me, though, I know that it's going to be that he's going to go get it. See, I put in my notes because I thought this guy was Adam Thielen, and maybe that's what Dak needs. Maybe Dak needs a guy that can get open, but when it gets a little muddy, that like, the ball's thrown bad, here's like a 6'4" guy going straight up and getting it.
Isn't that kind of what Michael Gallup is?
I was about to ask that question.
Especially since they just gave him all that money?
Okay, tell me about Michael Gallup as a route runner.
I don't think he's.
It's okay if that's your argument. Then go get you somebody that runs routes. He gave you a boatload of names to go talk about guys that are really good route runners. Olave, Mechie, those kinds of guys. You need guys because that's what right now. I don't know if you necessarily have that. I don't know if you necessarily say that CeeDee Lamb's a great route runner.
I agree, and that's
so you better go get somebody that can separate and somebody. But I bring up London just because of how damn big he is and back shoulder up high because Dak ain't always accurate,
Yeah.
But Dak
and actually I thought it's a great point from you. Even less than his accuracy, he doesn't want to take that risk.
Yeah.
Like he's not going to zip it into a bad window. He's like, you're either open enough that
That's why
I feel
he
good
takes
about
sacks
it or I'm
around the
moving
line
on.
of scrimmage.
Yeah.
He hold, sack. It's at the line of scrimmage.
It's probably the least sexy skill set because everybody is infatuated with the Treylon Burks, myself included. Like, if you're 230 and can run like that, that's exciting as hell. And an incredible route tree probably gets glossed over the most because it's not that exciting to look at. But I think it's the most valuable thing for Dak, which is why I wind up on Olave.
Do you think that at some point along the line, if they do go with the Drake London, though, and you go with a guy who's, again, not a great route runner, but he's going to go up and get the football, maybe those tendencies start to shift a little bit from Dak Prescott? Because that's my thing.
John Kitna back. Right? John Kitna, when he was here.
Little YOLO ball?
Yeah, he told Dak, he's like, just rip it.
Yeah, let it happen.
You see what's happening?
But
Throw it.
maybe those tendencies change if all of a sudden he doesn't have that technician like Amari Cooper.
We're willing this team to draft a wide receiver at 24.
Yeah, we are.
All right.
But it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah. So, okay.
Calvin Austin in the third. Let's go the opposite of Drake London. Let's go tiny.
I think we all agree. So I'll end it. I'll end it with this, and we can go long. That's fine. But just knowing what we know right now, give me your ideal roadmap through the first 4 rounds. Like, if you don't want him to draft a receiver, don't do it.
Round 1, Zion Johnson, Boston College guard. Round 2, Sky Moore, wide receiver, Western Michigan. Round 3, you guys are going to have to tell me what linebacker you think would actually be there. On my grades, I would say somebody like Channing Tindall, but I think he'll probably be gone. Or Asamoah, the OU linebacker.
Your boy Chenal?
Leo Chenal, if you think I can have him in the 3rd round, absolutely.
That'd be tough at 88, but I think he'll go like before 88 in the 3rd.
4th round tight end, Isaiah Likely. Just going to throw out a name.
Okay.
Kyle?
I'm along the same lines. Go offensive line in the 1st.
You don't have to give me names.
I'm not. Offensive line in the 1st, wide receiver in the 2nd, linebacker, interior in the 3rd, even though I know that's the 4th straight draft. We've taken an interior guy on day 2. And then linebacker, whatever was left over from what I just said in the 3rd and the 4th.
Okay.
Lindenbaum, Pickens, and then I would probably look at somebody like Tyndall, or if Walker was there. I have Walker in the 3rd round. He's probably a 2nd-round player. But I would probably go center, I would go wide receiver, and then I would go linebacker.
Who's your left guard?
That's a question I need to answer myself, because right now I don't. I'm gonna take a chance that maybe I could bottom fish this thing, and I'm just gonna make sure I take care of the center spot, because I think this center's pretty rare the way he plays. So I'm gonna take a chance that my left tackle is gonna hold up, my center's gonna be a rare player, my right guard will be fine. I'm not sure about the right tackle. You might need to take a right tackle too if you're thinking about, if you really think that Steele is your guy, whether you like him or not. They like him a lot, but I'm thinking I'm just going to take Linderbaum because I think he's better than what the guards that I have at that spot.
Going back to my point from earlier, a lot more is going to change since the first segment. Connor Williams has agreed to a deal with the Dolphins. I don't think really anybody's surprised to hear that he's moving on, but I am curious to see obviously Connor McGovern's still here. Do they take the time, for lack of a better word, to draft sign a veteran? I guess Matt Farniak's still sitting around as well. So, like, you have quote unquote bodies. I just wonder how much they do to address it, or do they go into the draft with that sort of being that kind of glaring need where they need to spend a top 100 type of pick.
I'm just looking at this. I'm just looking at this as my center is higher rated than those guards I have on that board, and like I said with Linderbaum, I'm kind of thinking that, man, I'm not saying I'm going to band-aid this guard position, because you tried to band-aid it a little bit.
And they'll sign somebody before the draft, right? Like, they're going to sign
that's
guy.
what I'm. Do you think so, though? Because if you have McGovern and Farniak, you technically have the bodies.
I mean, we tried one of them. And
Jeff
they immediately pulled the ripcord.
Yep.
You are not wrong.
Jeff made the point in the first segment, they don't like seeing McGovern out there.
Well, no, the offensive line coach hates him, so that's clear, But yeah, the thing that to me, like, I just, if I'm going to take if I'm sitting looking at that center, I think that center can really help me in the run game. I think he really can, maybe even more so than a guard right now. Because I saw things going on with Biotish that it's not where it needs to be. Linderbaum comes in, and man, we talk about how you play against the defense, how you reach, how you scoop, how you get give guys the ability to cut the ball back and stuff like that. I think he does that in a lot, and especially with combo blocks and things like that, he's really, really good. So to me, I just have him better than those guards, than Green and Johnson and Ingram and Kennard, all those guys.
As always, we appreciate your questions. When we come back, I'm going to try to get these guys to fight each other. We'll see how it goes.
Football season is almost over, and that means tax season is here. With it comes taxiety. Filing taxes can be stressful if you choose the wrong partner. Don't let taxiety take over this tax season. Liberty Tax will help you get your largest possible refund or your money back. With more than 12,000 tax professionals nationwide, help is always around the corner. Check out Liberty Tax, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Schedule an appointment today at libertytax.com/Cowboys. Liberty Tax, a brighter way to do taxes.
Hey, Cowboys fans, if you're thinking about attending a game this season, visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today. Stay at the team hotel, have dinner with a Cowboys legend, and experience AT&T Stadium's exclusive VIP Owners Club. Also, tour the Star, get autographs from your favorite players, and talk X's and O's with me, Mickey Spagnola. The official travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys will take care of all your travel needs. Visit cowboystravel.com.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, sinking, and toasting Miller Lite in 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
This is Chad Hennings, former cowboy and proud veteran of the United States Air Force. When my fellow military veterans choose VA, they receive life-changing benefits from the Department of Veterans Affairs. If you are a veteran, you may be eligible for healthcare, education, and training benefits, a home loan guarantee, housing assistance, and more. Choose VA for the benefits you've earned. Visit choose.va.gov to learn more. That's choose.va.gov.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
Your favorite WWE superstars return to AT&T Stadium for WrestleMania on Saturday, April 2nd and Sunday, April 3rd, 2022. Get your tickets to the most stupendous two-night WrestleMania in history. Visit SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing provider of AT&T Stadium. R.I.P. to Scott Hall. Hate to see that. Legend. Yeah. A living legend.
63 years old, right?
63 years old.
Doesn't make me feel very good.
Not well. Pro wrestlers
might be doing one more draft show with you guys.
Pro wrestlers live a hard life, man. That's a lot of travel and a lot of physical abuse.
Kevin Nash and Razor Ramon was a solid tag team.
Yeah.
It was a good group.
Legendary. The Outsider's Edge. Yeah. Good stuff.
Razor's Edge.
The Razor's Edge. Yeah, he had two names for it. You're right.
Because he wasn't always Razor Ramon.
I was going to say
he was Scott Hall.
The beauty of being in wrestling for 30 years is like.
But Razor Ramon died?
That's Scott Hall.
That's Scott Hall.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, I don't follow the sport.
Jeez.
I don't follow the sport.
See, that's
sorry.
my point. Is like. If
Scott Hall's dead and Razor Ramon.
If you do it,
got them both.
If you do it long enough,
one.
your your gimmick changes like 8 times. So Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, NWO,
Kevin
all that
Nash
stuff.
was Diesel.
Oh, jeez.
So they just
sorry about that.
These WrestleMania reads always lead us down a rabbit hole of pro wrestling, and I just assume most
Kane
people
wore a
hate
mask
listening to
because
it.
he was so horribly disfigured, except for when he took his mask off and didn't have a mask anymore.
Also became like the mayor of Knoxville, or he looked like a congressman. I think.
Yeah, let's not go down that path too far, though.
Yeah. All right. Good point. I want to.
Is there a story?
No,
there is.
No, we're not doing it. We're talking about the draft. Specifically,
do a podcast about it, Jeff.
No.
I want to get y'all's takes. Again, we talked about this at the top of the draft, but we're trying to draw this circle around first-round prospects, guys that we think the Cowboys might target at 24. And I just want to see how y'all feel about different ones, different options, different ways that they could go by pairing guys up. So I'm just going to start off with a list that I wrote out this morning. Given the choice between Nakobe Dean or Chris Olave,
Kobe Dean.
Why?
Because I have him graded as a first-round player, and I have Chris Olave as a cheater grade. My answer is always going to be my board. And Kobe Dean, I have as one of my 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 real-life first-round grades, and Olave I do not.
Can I get a rebuttal?
I've got both in the first myself, and actually Olave is the last guy I have in the first. I have 4 first-round grades for the wide receivers. Dean is my number 1 inside linebacker. I would probably go Dean on that one is what I would do. I just think that when you watch him play, he's got some rare ability. Again, both these guys are a little bit shorter, a little bit smaller, but both of them make tremendous amount of plays. I just kind of feel like that you put Dean in this scheme and let him run, he could finish. So I would have him slightly over Olave in that situation myself.
I completely disagree. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I'm right there
damn
with
it.
you guys. I know.
I was hoping you would.
No,
Receiver's more important than linebacker. Give me Olave.
No,
that's my answer.
Okay, so that's
my answer.
Well, for this team, are you talking about just for this team or just as far as on your board?
In general, but also for this team.
I have him either way. Kobe Dean over Olave. That quick first step, the recognition, his ability to go head hunting. I like all of that over Olave, who I'm kind of with Jeff. I have him in like that first, second round cheater area, but Nakobe Dean is surely a first round player for me.
Tyler Linderbaum. Mm-hmm. Traylon Burks.
Linderbaum.
I assume this is going to be a clean sweep.
Linderbaum, he's real life first round, and I have all the top receivers, the top 6 guys, as cheater 1-2s. Mm-hmm. So anybody who I have as a absolutely first round grade, I'm taking over the receivers. Tyler Linderbaum fits there.
Yeah, Linderbaum I have both guys in the first round. Burks would be my 3rd best receiver. Linderbaum, the number 1 center on the board, and it is a huge drop to the next center at the 3rd round. Yeah. So to me, I think I would go. I think there's some rareness to Linderbaum. I've never seen. I've said this before in a bunch of shows. I've never seen a guy overcome more deficiencies to play great like he does. You know, with his lack of height, short arms. I mean, people will try and talk you out of him, and I'm like, watch the film. Watch what this guy does on film, and you tell me. Burks, I think, is very interesting because of all the things he can do, but I would go with Linderbaum right there myself.
Who is your second center? I don't know if we've talked about it.
Parham.
Oh, okay. Parham out of
Memphis.
Okay. I had Donovan West and then Parham. I have West out of Arizona State. But, yeah, it's a huge drop-off. And it kind of goes back to what you were talking about in the earlier segments about wide receivers, about why invest this much when you know there's a ton of other guys that are going to come in NFL ready to play. Maybe if that's the case, if there's a position that is at least valued lesser than wide receiver like the center would be, and then there's a massive drop-off in talent between their number 1 and number 2 guys, then why would you not take the Linderbaum that's sitting there whenever you could, if you pass up on a Burks, you could still get a guy in the second you feel really good about?
Devin Lloyd, Trent McDuffie.
Ooh, now you're getting
same grade. Now I am going to have to do some stacking.
Now I
here.
need you to give me an opinion.
Devin Lloyd
in your
and
life.
McDuffie.
It's the corner out of Washington for anybody that's not following along.
Trent McDuffie, the one knock he's going to get is T-Rex arms. He's under 30-inch arms, but holy cow, he's a really good player, and he plays the more valuable position. I'm going to go Trent McDuffie over Devin Lloyd.
And again, are we talking about just overall?
Would you like the player? Just don't try to waffle here. Okay. Don't try to come up with caveats.
Like if you're going to play a need thing and we can move it around a little bit, like Devin Lloyd probably fills a need better for the Cowboys. Sure. But if you're just picking players in order of how you like them,
if you're passing
McDuffie over Lloyd.
If you're passing on a corner that you love because you need a linebacker, that's bad drafting, in my opinion.
Why would you say that to my face, though? You could have said that when I was gone. You had to insult me right in my face.
You agree with me.
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah. But you said it to me, so it felt like an attack.
It felt like you were getting
looking
attacked.
right at me.
I have Lloyd as my 27th overall player, and I have McDuffie as 33.
Oh, so, you are a McDuffie hater.
I'm not a hater.
There are not 32 better players.
I just have him as my 3rd best cornerback.
You hate dinosaurs?
No, I don't.
Like his
I
T-Rex
love dinosaurs,
arms?
actually.
Okay.
Derrick Stingley is above him. Sauce Gardner's above him. Stingley out of LSU, Gardner out of Cincinnati, for those listening. McDuffie's my third. I like Devin Lloyd just a little bit better. I think he's physical. I like the way he plays downhill. He can stop the run. He can plug the gaps.
33rd.
That's tough, though.
I take Lloyd, and McDuffie's. I have both guys in the first round again. Solid first-round players. I think with Lloyd, the thing that I love about him, if you leave him unblocked, he will make every single tackle. And I love that about a guy. I love it when you watch him play and, you run into the football and all that. His tape is really, really good. He's 6'3", he's 237 pounds. This guy, people are going to figure out how to use him because when he's going downhill, he's going to make the tackle and he's going to make him hard to block. And I think that's what I really, really like. McDuffie, to me, is I don't look at the short arms and, he's tall enough. He's got enough weight. He still knocks the ball down. He still knocks that ball down. I mean, there's no question. No, he plays.
I love Trent McDuffie. I just like to have fun.
I
just like to have fun with the.
T-Rex
arms is fun to say.
It is.
No. I mean,
it's really
it's
fun to mess
You
around
could
with.
say the same thing about the Iowa center. There's guys.
Well, he's got an extra inch and a half.
There's guys in this first round that I'm telling you they have deficiencies.
Yeah.
They really do. If someone's going to say, "Well, I wouldn't have taken him because he's a short-armed guy." McDuffie. Well, I'm not going to take him because he's 296 pounds. Lindenbaum.
I'm going to throw you one that people are going to say is pie in the sky, but you never know.
Mm-hmm.
I love pie.
Tyler Linderbaum, Derrick Stingley.
Both first-round grades. I would take Stingley in that regard myself.
Linderbaum, he likes football.
Ooh.
I had to find a tiebreaker because they're both first-round guys.
I want you guys to fight because I'm on the fence here.
I'll take the center.
It's been 2 years. It's been 2 years since Derrick Stingley had an amazing season.
It is true.
It is.
A premier corner, which he has the traits to be.
He has the makeup to be that corner.
Is super duper valuable.
I can't see him falling that far, but you never know. There's enough.
It's which one are you choosing to take your uncertainties and say, I don't trust that guy? The height/arm length of Linderbaum despite great tape, or the Stingley 2 years of, were you hurt? Did you kind of lose interest when you guys weren't good? What happened there?
That's fair.
I'll go durability. I'll take Linderbaum.
People are going to get on me because here I'm wearing a Joe Burrow jersey.
You are
basically.
wearing an LSU hoodie in the
I've
studio.
got Gardner over Stingley though, but just because
I think
there's
at this point,
questions.
I think most people do.
I think there's questions. I think there's reasons why you would say maybe he would get to 24, and people will tell you this guy is not an alpha type of a player. That he needs a big brother. I think there's a lot of questions about him. Absolutely, but you watch him play. There's like, you talk about Linderbaum with some rare ability. That kid Stingley's got rare ability. When you watch him play, it is so easy for him when the way he moves, the way he transitions, the way he plays the ball. It's super, super easy. And I wouldn't have believed it was be a better corner in the draft, but Gardner's a better corner. Mm-hmm. But Gardner is a better corner. But I do love me some Stingley, though.
If you told me Sauce Gardner was the one that fell and it was Linderbaum and Gardner, then I would take Sauce Gardner. But I know that's probably even less likely than the pie in the sky that we just talked about.
There are dings on Stingley's resume that could push him down the board.
And there's not
Unless
that for Gardner.
Something comes out over the next month about Gardner that we don't know.
Yep.
He's a top 10 pick. I
think you were going to say this cliche a little bit ago, but when there's smoke, there's fire, and you kind of hear that rumbling. That Stingley could be the one to fall.
Yeah, not me.
Yeah, he needs the new ones.
He's
like
more
the
creative
the
than
new
that.
memes on Twitter that
I've been
about.
expecting Sting to fall since about mid-October of
That's a
the
good point.
season.
He could very well end up when that Philadelphia has that run.
Sure.
He could be one of those.
right there in that run.
He'd be fun here. He could have the big brother and Diggs.
That's what he needs. People will say that he's not a bad kid.
No.
They say that if you want him to be, he says, Jeff's brought it up because he's seen Gardner work out in person, and he's talking about Gardner walking in a room and lighting that place up. Stingley is not that guy.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where people would ding him a little bit. Like Jeff says, does a guy really like football? I don't think he's a glass eater by any means. But I think.
Which no one should be. That sounds terrible.
It means you're tough if you're eating glass.
It's a turn of phrase, Jeff. I think if you have a chance to draft a corner with that skill set, I think, especially if it's all the way down at 24, I think you got to take the risk. One last one before we get out of here. I like this one. I don't know. Brian, you might not like this one. I think Jeff will.
Uh-oh.
Jordan Davis, Zion Johnson.
Ooh, same grade. Zion Johnson.
Why?
I will go Zion because Zion is going to play 100% of the snaps. I just think I would take my left guard over a 50% of the snaps player, give or take, which is what Jordan Davis is going to be. And you're making me, because I have to make a case, you're going to make me tear somebody down, and that's messed up.
I'm not asking you to tear him
No,
down.
that's messed up.
Just
What you're
want your
doing.
rationale.
But yes, I would take a guy who I think is going to be a high-level starting left guard for his career over a one technique, even with the good testing, because I got to see it on tape. Jordan Davis isn't on tape making a bunch of plays outside the tackle box.
Brian, you don't love Zion as much as Jeff
No,
does.
I have a chance to be really, really wrong about that player.
But
there's a couple of guys in this draft that I have that opportunity, and I'll wear them both.
Knowing that
if
you
it happens.
don't love Zion, what do you think about that?
What
choice?
I tell you what, though, I mean, he's not wrong about the playing ability. He's not wrong. I mean, it's about, the thing with Johnson playing every snap, you're going to get him 65, 70 plays. I think with Jordan Davis, though, with this defense, think about having a guy that big, that athletic in the middle of his defense.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, now it's like, oh, we've got Randy, we've got Tank, we've got potentially Osa or, anybody else you want to put at the 3 with that one playing the way he does. And maybe you work with him and find a way. I mean, the scouts will tell you that's just a push-the-pocket type of a player right now. But that's a big push-the-pocket type of a player right now. And so, to me, I just have him better. I would have him. I got both of them in the second round. I just have a couple of guards over Zion Johnson, but I don't have as many. It's Jordan Davis as a one technique and Wyatt as the 3. If you told me I could have either one of those guys, I'd absolutely love it.
Which one would you take?
I would take. I think I would take Wyatt.
I think you got to take Wyatt
over
there.
Davis.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. The thing about
But
Davis
one's a 3 and one's a 1.
was a one technique. Yeah. Davis, it goes back to positional value too, because if you wanted to get your third guard on your list rather than your number 1 or number 2 interior defensive lineman, but kind of going to what Brian is, if I'm Dallas, if we're in the seats, and I know that's not the exercise, I would take Jordan Davis either way. Let's just say that I have him graded higher. But if I'm Dallas, I'm looking at the weapons around what Brian's talking about. You have a guy who, even if he plays for just 2 snaps, you put him in there with Randy Gregory, Tank Lawrence. You have Michael Parsons coming off the back. Who knows? Maybe it's Jabril Cox back there. Maybe it's a second or a third round guy who's behind you. It opens up your defense if you're able to push just a little bit. And then you have that rotation of guys that you already have on the roster at the moment.
If you can put a guy who eats up that much space on the field and not give up any athleticism, like you don't get slower as a defense.
Which you wouldn't.
And you think about the freaks that already work here, yeah, I get the appeal of that.
Zion Johnson's a good player though too.
He is. Well, at the end of the,
he's going to plug and play.
I go with Jeff. Give me 75 snaps a game.
Yeah,
over
no, I mean, and that's not the wrong way to think about that. Though, I mean but to me that's the one guy that I'm going to look back and say, man, you didn't see him how you needed to see him.
All right. Good, robust,
Maybe.
good. Not as much of an argument as I wanted, but that's okay. We got plenty more time for that. Plenty more.
Damone Clark, day 3.
That's ridiculous. That's rude, is what that is.
What? We'll see if anybody wants to fight.
We'll get to that. We got plenty more twists and turns to go. I'm positive. We will be back with y'all next time. Thanks for listening to the Draft Show. We'll catch y'all next time. Thanks. I'm bad at signing off.
What?
Later. Bye.
Oh, see ya.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?